Now that we've completed modeling, it's time to organize our scene so that we can easily tell where everything is, and we can easily hide and show certain parts of the room. So we're going to create a lot of collection, rename a lot of the items and stuff. Also, I created this tiny light. So if you want to create it, it's just a circle, extruded, and then I sort of, if I tap into edit mode, you can see that I inserted this a little bit and then extruded it down. So it's going to give you sort of a bit of exercise to do it on your own. And then I also sort of rotated this controller a tiny bit, and now we can go ahead and start organizing this stuff. So right now you can see we have this collection and everything is inside this collection. Now an easier way to organize this is to just simply select our objects in the 3D viewport and then start adding names by pressing F2 on the keyboard. And you can see we can type in the name here, and we can also move them to a new collection. We can put like one collection for the furniture and one for all of the stuff on the computer tab and those kinds of things. So that's going to make it easier. Let's start with our room itself. So we're going to select the floor and then the tiles and the walls. Let's also select our window frame, window, and window handle, and all of these items. And if we press G to grab and start moving it around, I think we got everything. So right click to cancel the movement. Now we can press M on the keyboard and it's going to say move to collection, and we can click on new collection. Let's type in a room and then we can press enter, and that's going to move all of those objects into this new room collection, and these are all the objects. So now let's start with renaming. So we're going to select our walls, press F2, and we can type in walls, and then we're going to select this window, type in window, and then we can select the window frame, and let's type in window underscore frame. And then for the window, we're going to go ahead and select these handles, and we can also sort of rename these window underscore handle. And then we're going to select the handle and then last select the window. So that's it's an active element, and then we're going to parent it. Now, if we look down here, so here's our window, and then here's the window handle. And if we move the window, it's going to move the handle along with it. And then here we have the frame. And let's do the same thing with the door. So we're going to type in door and then door frame. And then here we have the door handle. So we're going to type in door handle. And then again, we're going to select the door as an active element and then parent it to that. I'm going to press Ctrl Z. I think I accidentally selected something else. So let's go ahead and select. Actually, the pivot point isn't, origin point is here. So that was, we're going to center that to the geometry, and then we can parent that again. Okay, and then we have two more things. So this is going to be the tiles. And then we're going to select the floor and rename this to floor. And just like that, we have our room completed. And now we can make it we can hide it. And also there are some filters up here. So if we enable this filter, then we can make it unselectable so that we don't accidentally select it. And we can sort of show and hide that very easily by clicking on this icon. Next, we're going to go ahead and put all of this furniture into a new collection. So we're going to go ahead and select our computer drawer and this tabletop. Select these two legs for the table. Let's also select this bookshelf. Okay, and maybe also put this heating system in there. And then I think we can make one more collection for the props that we have. So the books and everything else can sort of go into that. Again, I'm going to press G to grab and sort of try moving that and make sure that I got everything. Then cancel the movement. And then I'm going to press M and new collection, and we can type in furniture. And now we can sort of start renaming these. So I'm going to type in heating system. And then we're going to go ahead and, do we have this parented together? Let's open it up. Nope. So we're going to go ahead and select the bookshelf, and we can go ahead and parent these together. And then we can select the outer part and rename this to bookshelf. For this, we can, I think, rename it to like just rename them to something that you can easily remember. So as long as you can remember it, I think that's going to be fine. And let's rename this to tabletop. And then I'm going to clear any parenting that I did before, so then we can sort of reparent everything together. So I'm going to sort of select all of these and Alt P and then clear parent and transforms. And now we can start renaming these. So first I'm going to select this outer frame and parent this to the drawer. And then we're going to select these table legs. And I think we can parent these to the tabletop. So like that. And then we can also sort of parent this drawer to the tabletop as well. So now everything is inside this tabletop. And then here we have table leg. And then we can type in left, and then for the other one we're going to do same thing, table leg, and then right. And then here we have the drawer. So finally for this front part I'm going to type in drawer front. So now we have the second collection completed, and we can easily make it unselectable or we can hide it. And I think we can make these chairs into a different collection, so that's so that we have like separate control over it. Okay, let's go ahead and start selecting some of these objects here. And then we have the empty for controlling the rotation, and we're going to sort of select all of these. Okay, let's start moving it. I'm going to turn off the snapping. I have that turned on. Okay, I think I got everything. So I'm going to move that to a new collection called chairs. And I think we can also move this one, but first let's just go over this so we can parent everything properly. Let's go ahead and select everything in this collection. And then shift right bracket to select all the children. And we can go ahead and, I think, unparent everything so that we can reparent everything more properly. First, we're going to go ahead and parent the wheels to this base point. I'm going to also select this empty and parent all of these items to this object. And then I'm going to parent this to the cushion. And then we can also sort of select the rest of these objects and parent them to the cushion as well. So here we have the chair. Let's go ahead and rename that. And then here we have the chair arms. And then we have the chair back frame. Okay, this is going to be the chair itself. And then down here we have the chair base. I'm going to type it chair cylinder and then maybe chair underscore legs. And I think I'm going to leave the rest of it. I don't need to like rename each wheel because it's going to take more time, and I don't need to do it because my chair sort of is already organized and I can sort of quickly hide it if I need to. And then I think we can do same thing with this chair. And since it's out here, we can just quickly select everything and then unparent. Okay, so that is also completed. Let's go ahead and rename some of these plants and things. So I'll go to the front view and then make a box selection like this to select all of these sort of plants. Whoops. Okay, let's do that again. And then deselect some of these objects by control sort of dragging over these. And that should sort of give me access to this plant. Now I'm going to deselect this base part of the flower, and then I'm going to shift click here to make it an active selection. And then I'm going to parent all of these leaves to this sort of stem. And then I'm going to parent that to the pot. And now we can easily move it around. And for the leaf, I'm not going to rename every single one, but for this flower pot, we can just rename it to flower pot. And let's go with like big, I guess, and we can do same thing for that one up there. And then we can also do sort of same thing for these ones, small, and then we can do same thing for these ones up here. So we're gonna go ahead and select this and that, and then we're gonna parent these together, and let's rename it to flower pot small, and then we can type in 2. And we can move it around. I'm going to hide it temporarily, and here I have the reference. I'm going to move it to a new collection and create a new reference collection, so that is there. And then I can hide the visibility and make it unselectable as well. And then we're going to do same thing for this leaf. So we're going to move it to this reference, and we can also rename it to leaf reference. And we can, I think, make this entire collection unselectable and hide it. And let's go ahead and select this entire thing. And since we already have that unselectable room, so we're not going to accidentally select it anyway. And then again, we can deselect the base pot and select the stem as an active selection, parent everything together, and then parent that to the pot itself. And then here we have some books. Again, I'm going to select all of these books, and I'm going to unparent these. So I'm just clearing the parents, and then I'm going to do it again. So let's go ahead and select this book and parent it together. Same thing here. And then I don't know if I should put this, you know what, let's just put everything into its own collection. So we're going to go ahead and make a quick selection like this. And then we can move it to a new collection called books. Then I think we can just go for renaming these to book 1, 2, 3, and so on. So we're going to just sort of start at the top. There we go. Now we can easily hide the books if we need to. So most of the items are now completed. I think I should also sort of like move these plants. So I'm going to go ahead and select these plants. And add all of these to the selection. Same thing for this one. So shift right click, right bracket to sort of select the children. And then I think we can sort of move it into its own collection. So move it into flowers, or let's go with plants. And finally, we can reorganize some of this stuff on the computer desk. So we have everything organized. As you can see, we have a lot of these different collections, and we can very easily go through these now. So you can see the first collection contains all of our decoration items on the computer desk, paintings and bookshelves and stuff. And then we have the room itself. Then we have the furniture. And then we have the chairs. And then we also have one for the books. And finally, one for the plants. So I'm going to go ahead and save my file now.